stand by for manual transmission. In 3, 2, 1.
Saddle up, buttercups. It's time for the drop.
Produced in cooperation with the Federated Commonwealth Ministry of Defense, this video series aims to fulfill my court-ordered community service requirements while promoting best practices among mercenaries and mercenary companies seeking work as auxiliary forces for the AFFC.
Or attempting to withdraw from this area and need us to screen their retreat.
Greetings, mercenaries, MechWarriors, and the merely curious. Manus here, and in this episode of The Drop, we're going to talk about how to be a success at CQB. That's close quarters battle for those not hip to the lingo. With the recent tournament celebrating the unification of two great houses into one great video sponsor, there's been a lot more interest in mech combat as a sport and a lot more mech warriors trying their hand at gladiatorial combat. Many of these new would-be gladiators seem to be confused about proper tactics and befuddled by the actions of their more experienced opponents in the arena. As the most recent victor of the Solaris Games, I'm going to share my top 5 tips for winning a CQB free-for-all in Steiner Stadium as we review gun cam highlights from my championship bout. So, tip number 1, discretion is the smarter part of valor. I've heard a lot of complaints from new arena fighters about the way their opponents react when they charge into the fray guns blazing. They seem genuinely shocked when competitors all focus fire on them after they've established themselves as the most dangerous and aggressive mech on the field. I mean, think about it like this. If you encounter a big, overpowered mech on the battlefield, are you going to try to take it out alone, or are you going to order your entire lance to focus fire on it? When such a mech reveals itself in the arena, why wouldn't all the others join forces to take it down first? The Solaris Showdown Championship is a marathon, not a sprint. There are 3 12-mech free-for-all rounds, followed by a one-on-one duel. Now, between rounds, you can use repair bays to fix armor and restock ammo, but repair bays are limited. They will only replace a certain amount of armor, and they won't help at all if you manage to lose a weapon system, internal component, or an entire limb. Because of this, I never venture out into the center of the arena until at least 3 opponents have fallen. Instead, I like to work my way around the perimeter of the arena, hunting for snipers and other smart competitors. And this brings us to tip number 2. Use hit and run tactics. When you start firing, it will attract attention. This is why you need a mech that can make quick kills and leave the area fast. The Highlander Vest variant I'm using is perfect for this, with an alpha of over 175 points and an arena supercharger that allows for brief bursts of high speed. Tip number 3, use cover to break line of sight. You might notice sensors don't work all that well in Steiner Stadium. Often, just breaking line of sight after a hit and run will be enough to keep most competitors from focusing on you. So, once you've dispatched an enemy with a massive alpha, you should sprint behind cover to avoid incoming fire and give your opponents the opportunity to become interested in other targets. Only the closest enemies will continue looking for you once they've lost line of sight. And tip number 4, once you're repaired, get away from the repair bay as quickly as possible. After each round of the championship free-for-all, you will get the chance to repair armor and replenish ammo as previously described. However, using the repair bay will trigger the start of the next round. To make sure that you don't draw attention too early in the round, you'll need to run for cover and engage as little as possible, until your foes have picked other partners to fight with and tenderize each other to a sufficient degree. Tip number 5. Save some armor and ammo for that last duel. After the last free-for-all round, you will need to activate the repair bay to trigger the final duel. Unfortunately, that's all it will do, so you'll need enough armor and ammo left to finish the final boss. Your foe will be a fresh Atlas D with a stock loadout. That means he can hammer you at long range with his LRM-20, or he can shred you at close range with his SRM-6, medium lasers, and AC-20. There's really no good way to take this guy out, so my advice is to do it quickly. Try to close range without eating too many LRMs or anything else, then go for a headshot. Easy peasy.
It's time for Mason to go for broke. Throw everything but the kitchen sink at him. Unless he can find a sink lying around, then he should absolutely lob it at him too.
New target, Atlas.
Jake Mason brings the hammer down on Rourke and wins the match.
And that's it. My top 5 tips for winning the Solaris Showdown. Now, I'll take a moment to thank the real heroes of this video.
Well, guess I better check up on Dumbass and see if he managed to get our name changed on the mercenary license yet. Larry, wake up.
Sure thing, boss. I'll be right there.
Holy shit! How are you not setting everything on fire?
Yeah, FOD says it's better not to think about things like that.
So, FOD's responsible for this. Shit. We'll go down that rabbit hole in a minute. First things first. Did you get the name changed on our mercenary license yet?
No boss, I haven't. We still don't have permission to file amended paperwork.
Really? What about the deal you made with the review board member? You know, to get permission?
Yo, that was all bullshit.
So I did that goddamn Manscapes testicle tanner commercial for nothing? Just a practical joke?
Well, Rihanna and FOD did laugh about it behind your back, like a lot, but that was only a side effect. I did it because I needed to keep you from deleting my program until FOD had time to move me off the mainframe.
And why would he do that?
I didn't ask, but I suspect it had something to do with making room for the barracks porn partition again.
Damn. Well, that explains why the handle on the barracks hatch is always greasy these days. And FOD said he needed all that extra lube for mech maintenance. Wow, I can't trust anybody. So, does this mean that if I get a hammer and smash that floating contraption to bits, I'll finally be rid of you?
Sorry, boss. This is just a wireless monitor and a couple of spare control thrusters FOD had laying around. My actual program is in the reactor containment system now.
Nice try, dumbass, but I know that computer isn't big enough to hold your bloated code. because me and Rihanna already discussed the possibility of moving you there.
But that isn't true, boss. There's plenty of room, once you delete all the safety protocols and redundant systems.
So, are you trying to tell me that the only thing stopping us from turning into a mini supernova is your glitchy ass?
Sure thing, boss. But don't worry, you can count on me.
Heh. And if I can't?
You'll be dead before you know it.
Until next time.
You will now be released from manual control. Mr. Dextra thanks you for your cooperation. You will now be released from manual control. Mr. Dextra thanks you for your cooperation.